Okay, emergency press conference. Ripple is undermining American prosperity and freedom. I can confirm Ripple is actively spending millions of dollars trying to undermine a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the United States of America. This is not just an attack on Bitcoin, but on principles of transparency, on fairness, and on our national security.
Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, a threat to national security. These are some bad dudes here. I mean, I have never heard the hysteria be quite this intense. And I can be critical myself of Ripple at times. I've never stated they are a threat to humanity, but of course, this centers around the creation of a U.S. strategic crypto reserve. We're hearing that XRP may be included. And it's quite silly when you really look at what's going on. This whole argument, this hysteria, it's quite a bit of nonsense. I could understand if the government was going out, taking taxpayer dollars and acquiring crypto on the open market. If that was to happen, we should have some very serious discussions on what crypto has the most value now and the best chance of success. I mean, you're spending taxpayer dollars. That would be, a very important conversation to get into. That's not what's happening. At least day one, when this starts, if law enforcement seizes crypto, instead of auctioning it off on the open market, we're going to hold it to the side. And it would be sensible if we're going to seize XRP, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot. Why would we not put these major cryptocurrencies in the reserve and let it play out and see who ultimately is the most successful and where the value lies? There's no cost. You've seized this crypto, might as well put it in there with the Bitcoin. It's only sensible. This is kind of a silly discussion on its foundation, and I have no doubt that XRP and other major blockchains will make their way to this strategic reserve. We can have the debate when we start buying it on the open market where we should spend our money, but at this point in time, there isn't any other way forward. Now, might it be day one, just Bitcoin and XRP? I could see that happening because look, what do we have coming up? Not too far down the road. Well, we have the midterms, and you want big spenders that are going to help you go out there and win those very important seats. And so, yeah, I could see a deal being done that maybe for marketing day one, it's only those two, but eventually it's going to be all of your major cryptocurrencies. We're going to stuff them in there. This is a lot of hysteria over nothing. And I don't care what goes in that strategic reserve, whichever networks are the most valuable, the most adopted, the most useful, that's what's ultimately going to dictate success, not the rest of this other stuff. We see here from Peter McCormick, which I really like his podcast, by the way. But he says, I have a direct source that Brad Garlinghouse and XRP/Ripple are actively working to undermine the SBR, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. I guess that's the thing. They want it just to be named Bitcoin and only have Bitcoin. You notice with these, no one's telling you how. Are they trying to stop it? Do they not want the US to have a crypto reserve? Or do they want XRP also to be included in there? That's a wildly different thing there. And I think it's the latter. I think they just want XRP included, and major cryptos should be. It's just the way we should move forward. We see Matthew Crowder, again, channel I love. He says, President Trump, the Ripple execs tried to get Kamala elected. There should be no place for XRP in the U.S. crypto reserve. And of course, he's pointing to my buddy here, Chris Larson, with his big donations to Kamala Harris and his Greenpeace stuff. And look, Chris isn't Ripple. Those are his personal actions outside the company, even though sometimes it gets drugged back into the conversation, unfortunately. This isn't really a fair attack. If Chris wants to support a Democrat president, he should be allowed to. And, this has nothing to do with the conversation. This has nothing to do with XRP, the asset. XRP Ledger is the network and its value and its utility. Again, this is just causing hysteria for no reason. We always have this famous one. Ripple is literally the only blockchain whose initial blockchain history is deleted. The first 32,569 blocks are gone and unauditable. Now, this sounds nefarious on its surface, but remember what is actually the biggest complaint of people. That day one, Ripple and its executives had all the coins, which is the case before this block. So who cares if they rolled something back? Who cares what they did? They'd be just stealing from themselves. No one else had any coins at this time or any transactions. We have never had someone come up that said, hey, before block 32,569, I had money and it was stolen from me. It was rolled back. Like that didn't happen. So nothing nefarious could have happened before that block, before other people from the public started interacting with the blockchain. This kind of stuff, it drives David Schwartz nuts. He always addresses it when he needs to, but it just doesn't matter. We see Vet here saying, well, with Ethereum, you actually did have a rollback at some point in time. Like these are early day stuffs. David's talked about it, said, we had issues. We had to keep trying to get this thing going. And, this time was just when it took off and we didn't have to reset things. Again, this does not involve any transactions, any coins from anyone that is not either Ripple or their direct executives. It just doesn't matter. It's not important here. I put this up and I want you to pay attention to this. Last week, what was the narrative? What was the FUD? Well, Trump disliked Ripple because they supported Kamala Harris and XRP was out. So you're supposed to be scared about that. This week it's totally flipped and they're saying, backroom deals are being done between Trump and Ripple and XRP's in. And so we should be scared about this. Like they're just trying to spool up whatever they can. People are going nuts. It's a bull run. Have fun, make money, be an investor, not a warrior for your blockchain of choice. It doesn't really matter. This is really interesting and it's above my pay grade. And I think it's unintentional and it'll probably be fixed. But we have MicroStrategies. They're talking about a full redemption of 1.5 billion in 0% convertible notes due 2027. So they're getting ready to buy some more Bitcoin. But there's this rumor out there that they may have to pay tax on their unrealized gains. And it's quite complicated. It has to do with corp alt minimum tax. It has to do with the new accounting procedures in terms of how before you just wrote down your crypto losses, but you never wrote them back up. Now we're claiming it fair value. And might that come over now into the financial statements of MicroStrategies when they have unrealized gains? And might that actually inadvertently cause taxable income? Coinbase is also addressing this issue. This is going to be fixed. This is not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to tax companies on their unrealized gains. These two changes came together, I think, to create possibly this issue. Again, I can't tell you for sure if that's the way this will play out, but it seems like unintended, we have this issue. It'll be addressed by the administration. You can't be pro-crypto and then nail companies like MicroStrategies and Coinbase for their unrealized gains. It's just not possible here. This will be dealt with swiftly, in my opinion. And again, it's a little over my pay grade. You can read about it. It's kind of interesting, but if it is true, it'll be dealt with. We see Brad Garlinghouse saying, unless you're choosing to ignore the core tenets of the president's campaign, which is to aggressively support American companies and technologies, our efforts are actually increasing the likelihood of a crypto strategic reserve, which includes Bitcoin, happening. We want to see Ripple out there being a force in payments. My critique of them sometimes is they're not doing enough in payments. They're not getting enough traction. If we can get them going, it's going to be great for this whole space. If XRP's in this reserve, it's not going to hurt Bitcoin at all in the slightest. Again, this is a lot of hysteria for nothing. People want it just to be a Bitcoin reserve, and we know there's other use cases for blockchain that are going to be valuable, that are important, and there'll be other winners in this space. Are they different than Bitcoin? Of course, and that's a good thing because we need different types of utility out there. And so the government is going to include these in the reserve eventually. Doesn't matter how much people squawk. We see Andreessen Horowitz closing their London office and shifting focus back to the United States. This is important as we are bringing a lot of these jobs, a lot of these companies back to the U.S., trying to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. Now, we have this interview from Paul Barron, and he's talking to Mark from, I think it's Morgan Creek Capital. And he's saying, look, we have Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, we have Solana. We don't have XRP. And he tells in this interview his conditions for his company acquiring some XRP. And it's what I've been talking about. We need some people adopting and building on this blockchain other than Ripple. And so are we going to see that? Well, I think we may. We've been hearing that we may get a derivative, a blockchain derivative exchange built on top of this technology. We've seen some, even though it's a smaller startup, we've seen First Ledger have success, making quite a bit of cash, having, a successful operation. We're seeing a lot of upgrades to the network that give you capabilities you would need to build out applications. And so I think we can get there. It's encouraging, but we want to see people building and having success on the XRP ledger as a decentralized platform other than one company. He's absolutely correct there. That's what we need to see. And I think we just might. We might be on our way, especially in an environment now that's friendly to crypto. This court case goes away because before you weren't going to build on this thing because you didn't want legal problems. You didn't want the SEC kicking in your door. We're going to see what XRP is made of. And we got a real shot here to start seeing what Mark is describing here happen. And that will be a big deal. If you see other companies adopting this technology to build out their applications, to build out their payment systems, and they have nothing to do with Ripple, that's going to be the most bullish thing for XRP that could possibly happen. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.
The Biden administration would not tell them what the rules of the road were, and they would then get prosecuted. And what the industry wants more than anything else is regulatory clarity. They're saying, just tell us what the rules are, we will abide by them. And the Biden administration would never do that. And because of that, all the innovation was basically moving offshore, and America was about to lose this technology of the future. And we want that innovation happening here in the United States, and I think it now will happen in the United States because President Trump has declared that the U.S. must be the crypto capital of the world.
So it creates this working group that you will chair. What will you be looking for, and what type of guidelines are you looking to put out?
Yeah, so a few areas. So number one, market structure. We need to define what is a security, what's a commodity, what's a digital asset or collectible. So there's a few different categories here. So defining the market structure is important. Second area is stable coins. I think stable coins are a really interesting area. It gives us the opportunity to extend the dollar's dominance internationally. We can basically create a digital dollar that people all over the world will use. And then the third area that we're going to look at is we're evaluating this national stockpile for digital assets. We haven't created it yet, but we're going to study that issue.